I want to talk about that one movie that everyone remembers. That one movie is different for everybody. My sister, The Exorcist, ruined her. My brother, It ruined him. And I'm not going to say these movies are not scary and didn't ruin me, but I'm more of a psychological kind of guy, and I love things that kind of mess you up in a different way. And the one movie that did that to me at a very young age was The Blair Witch Project.
Oh my God, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that?
Now, you may think like, why is this even scary? That movie doesn't hold up and all this stuff. But you don't understand, I was alive when this movie was released and how the young internet pushed this movie, made it go extremely viral. It was probably the first movie to use the internet to go viral. Use the internet as marketing, as propaganda, and all these things. It literally blew up. I was 7 years old and I remember the buzz that this movie had, and I was just a child. I was a kid. I was in grade school. It's such a really profound movie that many people don't give it enough credit. I feel some people love it, some people hate it, some people talk crap about it, some people praise it. I'm on the side that I will praise this movie for what it did and how it did it. Before I continue, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. And honestly, I love making creepy cool content for y'all. So hey, if you like what you're watching, if you like the other episodes, follow, drop a subscription, subscribe to the channel. I don't know what that was. And while you're at it, go grab some snacks, go turn down the lights, and let's talk about some spooky stuff, yeah? The Blair Witch Project. What a movie. Found footage. Found footage is pretty popular nowadays. It's everywhere. Everyone is doing it. And it's kind of the one thing that's parodied a lot as well. Paranormal Activity was that one movie that came out in 2007, but it was widely released in 2009. That's when I remember watching it. And it was that one movie that kind of rebooted the found footage subgenre of horror. And I remember going to watch that movie and it scared me. It was a great, fun, good time. But the Blair Witch Project was that one movie still to this day that looms in the back of my head.
It is a small, quiet Maryland town, much like a small, quiet town anywhere. No more than 20 families laid their roots here over 200 years ago.
Now, we all know, spoiler alert, it's not a real movie. It's a fictional movie.
Really?
Okay, it's all right, Ingrid. I'm just telling a scary story, but it's not true.
The director did an amazing job. The two directors did an amazing job to really push this movie out as, hey, it's a found footage. We found this footage in Maryland, in Burkittsville, in the Black Hills. These were 3 students, went to go look for the Blair Witch. They went missing, but their footage was found. Directors Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez. I have all my notes right here. These 2 directors, I feel, just did a great job. The marketing of this movie was incredible. The propaganda of this movie was incredible. The internet was still young. So back then, whatever was put on the internet was, I guess, considered reliable fact. You know what I mean? Not like today where mostly everything on the internet is fake, or if not all of what's on the internet is fake, and we don't believe none of that stuff unless you're like a really crazy conspiracy theorist and you believe everything you read on Facebook. Talking to you, 2020 Facebookers, talking to you. But back then, it was so young that if there was a website about the Blair Witch Project and there was, documentaries on TV and there was news stations kind of publishing out about Blair Witch, it was almost like, hey, this is real. And they made a whole nation, a whole world believed that this was real. Now, me being 7 years old and hearing the buzz about it all over school, I was like, what is this about? What is this movie about? And my brother, who was older, I asked him, I was like, hey bro, what's this movie about? My brother's 5 years older than me, so he was 12-ish, 13 at the time. And my brother was like, dude, this is a movie that apparently some kids went to the forest and they got lost, but they found their cameras, and that's what the movie is about. It's about what they filmed right before they went missing. And that's kind of what we knew, because again, there wasn't many trailers on TV, there wasn't many stuff. I mean, there was no internet, so it's not like you can go look up the trailer on YouTube and all that stuff. No, there's just word of mouth. And the best part about this movie was that when I would leave school and we would get picked up and we would drive home, we would go on the 405 freeway south to get to where we lived, and there was a small movie theater that was showing the Blair Witch Project. And for a good month, there was lines that just almost wrapped around the block, because the word of mouth of this movie was just getting crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier, which in my opinion was like, wow, no internet, no social, barely an internet, right? No social media, none of that stuff, bro, like crazy how the word of mouth of, wow, this movie really is crazy. The documentaries are real. This is real. Go watch it. And everybody was watching it. And that's the thing that a lot of found footage movies can't do today, is convince you that it's real, because we know it's not real. And even if there's things on the internet that say to be real, we know it's not real. It's so so hard to really convince somebody that it's real. We know it's not real, but the Blair Witch Project did that because everybody was so innocent on the internet back then because it was so young and the directors knew what they were doing. I consider the Blair Witch Project to be the first true found footage horror film, the first true genuine, I guess, godfather of horror, the subgenre of found footage horror. And let me tell you why. First of all, you take 3 actors, you put them in the forest, and the directors just literally give them instructions every beginning of the day, or they'll hit certain checkpoints where they can read certain notes from the director that were what they have to do, how they have to act, and stuff like that. Crazy, because everything was pretty much improvised. I was doing some research and it said that the director, Eduardo Sanchez, he wrote 30-page script. 30-page script, that's only like 20-30 minutes of dialogue in the movie. Ish, that's if. And everything else was improvised. Everything else was just kind of like, okay, let's see how it goes today. And one of the crazy scenes in the movie is when they're in the tent and all of a sudden they start to hear baby laughter or little children laughing. And they start to go crazy. That was unexpected. They didn't know that was gonna happen. The actors, they didn't know that there was gonna be little kids screaming here and there. And the directors themselves went and started shaking the tent. They didn't know. That was not planned for the actors. All the fear you see there is pretty genuine. And all of a sudden, they open the tent and they start booking it. So they have the camera, they have a light, and they're running and they're running. And you hear one of the protagonists of the movies, she starts screaming like, oh my God, what is that? What is that?
Oh my God, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that?
And then that point in the movie is where the cameraman was supposed to pan left, and as it pan left, you will see a woman dressed in a white gown on top of a hill, kind of going crazy for a couple of seconds, and then pan back to the running protagonist. But it never happened. It didn't happen. And my theory is because they were so scared of what they were seeing that they were literally in shock. They forgot about certain instructions, they forgot about what was going on. And I think the fact that we never get to see the witch makes this movie a billion times scarier, more sinister, and just psychologically, is there really a witch? Was there really a witch? You can start asking your questions. Are they just going crazy? What is going on? Is it just their anxiety, their depression? Is it just their panic just starting to hallucinate certain things? Man, I freaking love this movie. There are scenes in the movie where they start to lose their heads, they start to scream, they start to fight, they start to shout, they start to do these things. You know, it's just crazy how they were just acting so well because they were in a moment of tension, a moment of stress. They were lost in the forest. You know, at this point, you can ask yourself, was the witch playing with them? Was the witch messing with them? Was the witch really just getting in their heads? Because we all know a good monster, a good witch, a good villain loves the taste of fear. So this is where you start asking yourself those psychological questions. Is there such thing as a witch? Does somebody set this up? Which we all know the real story behind it. It was a director kind of doing all these scary, spooky things to them and kind of just playing with them. But then there's that one scene in the end, which to me, I don't know about y'all, I get goosebumps about it, not because of how scary it is, but how beautifully crafted it was, or it is. Now, there's a story in the movie Lord about this dude named Rustin Parr who killed 7 kids.
Why did you do it, Mr. Parr? I heard voices in my head.
What kind of voices?
A woman's.
Whose voice, Mr. Parr?
No idea who it was.
And every time he was gonna kill them, he would take them in pair to the basement of his house or of a house. And then he'll face one of them in the wall, facing the wall, as he killed the other one. And this is how the movie somewhat ends. But as they approach to this house, they start to see handprints, they start to see stuff around the house, which again, I just love the fact that it was just a camera. It was black and white most of the time. You know, there was no color grading, there was not the best sound design. It's just like your imagination and what you see, that's it. And you just need to put the pieces together. And you have these 2 characters looking for one of their friends because they got lost. So you're looking for their friend in that house because he's gone missing. He's gone missing. And they found, I guess, a shirt with some teeth, a tongue, and some hair in it a couple of scenes ago. And they're just going crazy because their friend, they don't know where he is. So they start hearing his friend scream, and they go to the basement. And one of the cameramen has a camera, and then boom, the camera drops.
Judge.
And you go to the girl, and the girl's starting to go down looking for his friend, and all of a sudden camera pans and you see her friend standing against the wall, facing the wall, and she's screaming and screaming, and boom, the camera drops and the movie ends. such a bold ending for an indie horror movie, for a found footage horror movie, for a movie that only had a budget of $30,000-$60,000, and these directors, they didn't know what they were about to do. I freaking love the fact that, number one, we don't see much death or violence in this movie. All we see is a bunch of dialogue, all we see is a bunch of tension, a lot of fighting, fear. The acting in this movie, fear, you see the fear in their eyes. It's just so amazing. And I love the confessional that the girl actor, Heather, the girl protagonist, Heather, is just literally talking to camera and just confessing that she feels bad. She feels guilty for bringing her friends into this. She starts to like confess things, she starts to say things.
In spite of what Mike says now, it is my fault. Because it was my project. And I insisted. I insisted on everything. I insisted that we weren't lost.
She's literally saying like, this is it, I'm gonna die. And the director told her, you need to really sell it here. You need to act best as you can. And she did, and she killed it. Man, I really love this movie. And I feel like no other movie will be able to do this movie did. Is number one, convince that is real. Number two, use the internet to really push what is found footage. Because again, that cannot happen ever again, because we know all the stuff on the internet is fake. Even if it's real, we still question it. Back then, you didn't question it, you believed it. Number three is really use what is a beginner, or not even a beginner, but use the concept of found footage as its peak days, as like the days of its birth. Like found footage was so new to the world, and it did an amazing job. This sticker right here inspired me to do this video. I was at a spooky pop-up this weekend, and I went to meet Major Crime Division, and I started to check out other shops and other vendors and pop-ups, and there's this guy by the name of Brian Bear. He's an illustrator, drawer, and all this stuff, and he did all these cool spooky stickers. I have a bunch right here, right? But I saw this one and I was just like, man, I forgot how good of a movie this was. Oh, so good. This movie is just so good. I honestly, it probably won't do the same effect because we know it's not real anymore. We know that, they're actors. We know that there's better film movies because of technology nowadays, but the nostalgia is there. Separate everything about that right now and just pretend pretend it's 1999. You're watching a movie with no internet, barely internet, you didn't see a trailer. You don't know what it's about, but it's just word of mouth of like, well, this movie's scary. I'm pretty sure you will really enjoy that movie. Woo! But with that being said, let me know what you think about this movie. Let me know if you even like it, if you care much about it. Let me know what's your most scariest scene, or what scene really scared you in this movie, or if you saw it when, if you're a 90s baby, did it ruin your childhood? It didn't really ruin my childhood. If anything, it just ruined my sleep. It made my childhood a lot cooler because I was one of the few kids at school that talked about it because I saw it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in another Spooky Dude episode. Love you guys. God bless. Bye!